Hey Rhett, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. I always forget how intense that mech teaser is right after the chill song. If you guys don't know, we're like waiting backstage for the 5 minutes that you guys are waiting to. So we're like jamming out at least I'm jamming out myself to that song, and then like the teaser pops up and it's so intense. But I'm super excited to chat with you again today. We had you on a couple months ago after all of this crazy turbo blow up, and all the insane things that you've been working on. I mean, you've been doing art for over 20 years, I think I remember, for a very long time. So you've been through so many different phases of your work and your art. And I'm just super excited to have you. Number one, showing us some crazy AI stuff live, taking art from the audience live and transforming that and showing us a bit of the behind the scenes of how you've done everything. Do you
Yeah,
want to give yourself like a small little intro for folks that are meeting you today?
sure. Yeah, we can't top that blockbuster intro in the music and drop straight into our faces, but we'll do our best. Yeah, I'm a big fan of CyberBrokers. That's and your work. So that's why I'm a collector. I'm in the group. I love the things that you've been rolling out, and I wish I could spend more time checking it out and putting my mech together and like doing all that stuff. But I've just, you know, been too busy with my own stuff. And I'm so grateful for that. So I have, was like a traditional creative director, art director, in the landscape of branding, advertising, commercial TV, film and TV. And I did that for about, over 20 years. And then when my daughter was born, I sort of semi stepped back from that, sort of semi retired from that. I couldn't stop being creative, and I sort of started a YouTube and social media channel with her. And then she sort of blew up and got really sort of, at that time when she was like really young, social media sort of semi famous. Then we took a break from that again, and you know, si- for since 2013, I've been a Bitcoin dude. I was mining Bitcoin back then, um, and I didn't get into Ethereum when it first launched. I saw it at $1, and I thought, not for me. I'll stay a Bitcoin maximalist. But everything really changed when I started seeing the hashtag crypto art. And when I saw I could, sort of the kitties weren't for me, crypto kitties weren't for me, like some other things weren't for me. But when I started seeing like you could actually, you know, I could connect the personal art that I wanted to do with my love for crypto, and the two came together. I was all in. And this was about, I don't know, 20, maybe 17 or 20, maybe 2019 is when I properly was researching. And I think I researched for way too long. I was really tentative. I wish I had have just started releasing things back then, but I spent a good 9 months researching. I had to sort of start from the Ethereum blockchain, and not only what NFTs were, but I needed to really dive into like why I was doing this. So I took a good 9 months, and then I first minted on Super Rare in 2020, I think. But from 2020, I sort of announced I was all in and I was going to be a full-time crypto artist. And sort of every day since then, I have been, and it's been working out. And I've been fortunate enough to have been releasing since then, and just working on different experiments since then as well. And it's led me amazing places to,
Amazing.
like
I'm
meeting
curious.
people like
Yeah, no, I'm curious for you. Just since I also have a similar journey, finding Bitcoin first and then becoming a crypto artist and really falling in love with Ethereum and all of these things. But I'm curious for you. First of all, happy 10-year anniversary, since it's
oh yeah, yeah.
2023 and you first got into Bitcoin in 2013. That's amazing. So happy anniversary on that. And then also, I'm curious for you, when you started, before you started doing crypto art and you're mainly interested in Bitcoin, did you have this like transition period where crypto really did and crypto art became like all consuming in who you are and what you want to do every day once you started transitioning with Ethereum? Or did you still have like that feeling and conviction before that when you were just mainly in Bitcoin?
Conviction for
I guess like for me, maybe I feel like crypto in general like consumes a lot of my life. Like I work in it, my husband works in it, our cats are named after it. Like I think about it every day, and a little bit of that started for me when I was just investing in the space before I started creating the art. But then when I started creating art and wanting to like spread the word of it, it like totally consumed my life. So I don't know if you
totally. I totally understand that. Yeah, that's why I said from that day in 2020, I think it was the start of 2020, maybe or maybe it was 20. I can't remember, but I sort of said on Twitter, I am full time now. Like this is all I'm going to do. It did encompass me full time after that. Before that I was interested in the financialization of it and the independence and decentralization. And like I like Bitcoin, but when I got into the art stuff, it got really personal. Because you're releasing your own stuff. So then that's when I had to dive deep into it. I'm like, this is sort of so meaningful for me because it changes my outlook on everything. And I wanted to do the same for other people to show them like, this is why it means so much to me, because I have been a digital artist, number one, almost my whole life. And for almost all that time, the digital part of that has been worthless. It's just been the utility of being able to send stuff quickly, replicate it, infinitely. It's been that part, the commoditization of it, that it's like it's almost worthless. And then people saw the art has the sort of the value. What you can do for my product or my film or my whatever has the value, what your labor and work is. But now the purely being able to prove the digital part of it became doable. So that had value in itself. So it sort of doubled up the value, and I was able to prove all the stuff that you already know. But I was able to prove the provenance, the scarcity, who owned something, when it was published, all that, what the original one was. And that was the tipping point for me, because I hadn't been able to do that for literally my whole career. And
the community around your stuff too, like having that transparency to be able to see those people collecting and connect with them, which is so cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so it changed so much. That's why, it was all encompassing. And I went all in, and I was, I think that same year I made a video, what is an NFT? I was just breaking it down, and it was like a infomercial type of thing, really sort of breaking it down to basics of what it is. And that video, a lot of people still to this day come up to me and say that was what got them into NFTs, like breaking it down to its simplest terms so they could understand what even the technology was, what it meant, and what it meant for other people. And they still come up to me and say, "Oh, yeah, that video, is what got me into." They didn't even know that I did art, but I made this video called "What is an NFT," and it has like over 1 million views.
Yeah.
Now. And so I made a series of things like that, and I introduced people to like the likes of Beeple, and because a lot of these now popular artists who made it to the mainstream big over the last couple of years, I'd been following for the longest time, because I've been an art aficionado, digital art, for my whole life. So I already knew all of them. I was like the guy to be well versed and go, I know who these people are. I know why this matters to them, because it matters to me. Let's go. Let's do this. So I was sort of right place, right time, doing the right thing.
Yeah, and you've never shied away, I feel like, from the new and the next thing. And I mean, that leads perfectly into what we're talking about today and your explorations with AI, not only on the art side, obviously Turbo as well, but that has been just so cool to see. And this community we've built in the whole NFT space, and really connecting people with through our artwork and their passions and what they want to collect. And then you did this whole series of different threads, where I'll share the one that you did with CyberBrokers on screen right now. Let's see. So you did this whole series. Let me make sure you can see my screen. Yes, you can. Where people were dropping their pictures and you were like cyberbrokerizing them in such a cool way. And I was just like, I remember when you were doing these, you were pumping these out so quickly, and I was just totally shocked and amazed at how beautiful all of these were. Like, it's so funny. There's a pixel broker and it literally looks like a cyber broker afterwards. But these were so fun, and you did these for a lot of different communities and styles. What inspired you to just like go down this route and spend, I don't even know how many hours you spent. I feel like you did combined probably like thousands of these outputs across the communities. What is do that?
Totally. I did it across a number of days. Some like CyberBrokers, it was so popular, it spilled over into a couple of days maybe, and I was doing them for hours straight. So yeah, thousands racked up. Like I'd been enamored by AI, like a lot of people have been, and this was earlier on this year, and I was seeing the developments, and I wasn't seeing a lot of people sort of showcasing it or experimenting in this way. And I sort of wanted to show the potential of it. And I don't think a lot of people, I think there's a lot of things that have come out now, but at the time, people didn't realize sort of the speed and immediacy that you could create and turn around something, and the level of control of that as well, being able to train a specific style, in this case, CyberBrokers. And I think that was a good style to convey that, because it has a specific look and feel to it. So combining those two together and being able to do it as a real-time experiment, performance or whatever, that really, I thought that would be something that would spark the imagination of people and be like, oh, how's he doing this? Like, a little bit of magic goes a long way in getting people to experiment with things themselves and have hope in things and want to try things out. And sort of a reoccurring theme in my work in general is the idea of sort of hope and sharing that idea of the future can be, good, can be great, can be sort of better than this dystopian landscape that the media tries to push on us. So I try and be the antithesis of that and be like, things can be amazing. Look at this. Look at this great thing. Look at the,
I think those threads brought a lot of people joy. Like they did exactly what I think you were hoping to do. It brought me so much. Like I remember we were going out to dinner that night to celebrate something, and I was like showing my husband, I was like, look at these like outputs. It's so crazy what you were doing. So I think they brought a lot of people joy to see, the artworks that they've collected and that they cherish transformed. We actually have a couple that you have already pre-done that will show up on the screen that you've already prompted. And maybe while we're going through these, you can tell us a bit about the process of, how you even spun up the AI that you're using for this style. And then after this, we have a ton that are coming in live right now. So if you guys haven't submitted some live, go do this so on the thread. And you're going to do some live for us too, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, definitely submit some live, because I think, I'd love to show you behind the scenes. I'm not sort of, there's not a lot I have to hide about this. A lot of people hide their prompts. I sort of do as well, but with this one, it's a little bit different because I've already trained all the information into a specific AI model. So, I can show you a lot, but I got a bit overexcited. I did a lot that were already submitted online. maybe too many, but I'm sure
No,
there'll be.
we have plenty still coming in, so don't worry
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it.
So what I did was I took a lot of your assets from CyberBrokers. It doesn't take that many assets. I took about, I think, 8 initially, and I trained a model.
Oh, that's so small. I would imagine you took a lot more.
Yeah, I took 8. Well, I was really just starting to experiment. And I found it takes a lot of processing power to do it, and it can take a long time. It can take several hours sometimes to train a model on a specific look or feel. So I started with 8, and what I even found, like, that it worked, and I'm trying to learn myself through the process of doing, and I hadn't done a lot of models training myself. So I did that, but then actually I tried again, and I trained on just 4, and that I thought that model worked a bit better because it wasn't, maybe because it wasn't diluted so much. It wasn't drawing on so many inspirations. It sort of condensed the idea into just those 4. So the output was a little bit more restricted in terms of subject matter, but the style was stronger. It was, more distinct lines, more sort of clear facets. So yeah, so I still have both models, and I switch back and forth sometimes between them. And I might do that here, but I found one model works better, a little bit better than the others. So this one here, what I do is, so I've had this model that I trained on these images. It took several hours to do back then. And then I just have a simple prompt, and it's up on the screen right now. I just put close-up portrait and style of CyberBrokers. So the style of CyberBrokers in this prompt text image here I've got here is the magic that it's sourcing from the model up here. CyberBrokers, I've got V3 model that I did. And so that the CyberBrokers I've baked into the prompt, like if you see style of, do it in that. So it's still like a model that can do other styles or other things. But if you prompt that, it'd look at that and go, okay, I know what I'm meant to be doing, and I've been trained on that, and I'll look up that. So you can actually put in any thing in here, but if I just generate just as it is, you can see it will do, like, close to a full body. It won't always be, this one's doing 2. And I can just literally hit generate. Now it's got 3. So I trained on the full bodies of the CyberBrokers, not close-ups. So with text to image, it'll most likely give me a full body, but we can put anything in here. Just say we want red hat. So it puts a red hat on there. Just say female. Let's put a space in there. So this is just text to image. And you can see my settings here, 512 by 512. So I'm using the older model. There's a newer model, which is, I'm using Stable Diffusion in general, so people know. There's a Stable Diffusion XL, which is a larger dimension model. But this, I went back to the original one that was only around back in April when I did this, which is a smaller size, 512 by 512. But I found, even, like, you can see the eyes are pretty funky in this one. The rest of it looks sort of nice and crisp, but the eyes are pretty crazy. But you can, I was pretty confident with this style, you can always up-res and it will keep the distinction. So if I click this button down here, it'll take me to an in-paint section where I can just draw over the eyes. And I've got some settings down here where I've got the original masked area, and in paint only the masked area, the similar sizes. And then if I click generate on that, it's going to give me
cool.
much better eyes.
Yeah.
So I can, whatever is not quite right or a bit weird and wonky, I can fix it up, and then I can also take that and I can up-res it to a higher size as well.
Wow, that's amazing. And this, I know it was trained on the characters. I'm curious, I know it wouldn't work now, but would it be something easy for you to be able to train the same style but on like objects or something that would still give it that sort of like look and feel, but not on a portrait?
Yeah, so I've been doing that quite recently, actually. So there's the two directions people usually want to train models on. One is a subject matter, which it might be a celebrity or a personality or yourself. So it's the subject matter or the style. They're the two different ones. So you can train on either one, but the settings would just be slightly different for each of the ones. So back in the day, I trained a whole new model. So I replaced the Stable Diffusion model that I was using with a specific CyberBrokers one.
Mhm.
But nowadays, I prefer using a LoRa. So a LoRa is a little tab over here, but I won't click into it just in case, because I've been training lots of different models, and I'm under NDA for some things I'm working on, so I don't want to accidentally reveal that. But the I used for the CyberBrokers one, I used a training method called Dream Booth, so people know. It creates a brand new model, replaces the previous Stable Diffusion model. LoRa is more like a plug on top of a model, so I can use the recent XL Stable Diffusion XL. And then I train a model specifically on, I've been doing it on styles and on people. And then you just use the base SDXL, and then you tell it to use this LoRa specifically trained AI model, and that sort of plugs on top of it. And as long as you use the specific prompt that one's been trained on, it'll invoke that style. And and it works the similar way to what this is working. The more powerful part about that is you can use several LoRa's at the same time. So I can train on CyberBroker-style and then train it on my style or something, and then I can combine the two together and see what I've got by different LoRa's. And then I can,
so cool. Yeah. That would be so cool. I would love, or even the recent, I scrolled, you posted something recently that I bookmarked. It was a really beautiful piece of artwork that with like the rainbow, the silhouette rainbow people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like even like something like that merging with CyberBrokers in my head like would be so cool. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna whip through the slideshow of the ones that you've already done, and we're gonna post these live as I'm going through them. And then let's do some live, because I think that's gonna be really fun for everyone to see. This one, we should have put handles on it. Sorry about that, guys. I totally forgot. But this one I submitted. I know who submitted this one, me. Of Hal Finney on the left. And then on the right, I love how the colors like came of like his code halo, but like came through on the head on the right and totally CyberBrokerized this. But let's click through a few more. Let's see. And if you have anything you want to mention about any of them, go for it. I know this one's Forge because that's been your PFP for a really long time, and it just looks epic as a CyberBroker. I don't know which. Does anyone know which PFP this is? I should have looked. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it's from a collection, but I don't know the name.
Yeah, it looks awesome though. It's a really good. It's a really good. Like the blue glasses come through, the pink lips. Did you have to prompt specifically, like because you've trained it so well? Do you have to prompt? Oh, purple braids, blue glasses, or does it pick up a lot of that from the image itself?
Yeah, when I show you the way I drop it in, it picks up most of it, but I definitely, like I did before, if I wanted to have a red hat, for this one, I said blue glasses. just to emphasize, make sure it has, because they're sort of really thin on the original image. It could be easily lost. So sometimes I nudge it to where I want it to be.
No, this is awesome. Okay, let's see the next one. Pick one. That's an awesome one. This one is hard. It's interesting because I would think that the AI would find the left image pretty hard to read. So did you have to do a lot of tweaking on this one to get it to read what the face is on the left?
A little bit. Once again, I'm increasing the eye quality, some other things, but it's basically all there. And so, it's once you've trained the model and you've got it where you want it to be, the beauty is you really don't have to do a lot of nudging if you don't want to. So I could sit there forever and be like, oh no, I don't want it. I don't like this. I can make my creative decisions. But if back in the day, the point was to show how immediate things can be and how quick, I can turn them around in a few seconds and repost it to Instagram and they'd be like, where did this come from? I was like, because you put all the work up front, you've created that collection and all that to source and training, and I've put all that into the training, and now I can transform that based on other people's work. So it's sort of all the work is done up front. We sort of standing on those shoulders of the giants, and this is the result.
That's amazing. Okay, let's keep flipping through. Oh, I love that one. Oh, this one, I was really happy that you were able to get the double eye on one of the sides, since that is such a lot of money signature. I thought this one turned out really well. This one's metadata.
Yeah, and this is where I sort of make a couple of creative decisions. So I just keep hitting generate until I get something which resembles maybe the double eye, because it doesn't want to do the double eye, but I know that that's the thing. And so it did something, and then so I enhanced the two sort of dots that could be eyes, and then I'm like, okay, that makes sense, sort of laser eyes, future broker. It's not
No, that one, this one has to be one of my favorites for sure. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, a nice clone. Crazy clone.
Yeah, and sometimes it finds it hard to interpret things like what are these eyes? Are they glasses or are they? It doesn't know. So I'm like,
I tried the wings in the back are pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I think I said wings in there as well, just to nudge it in the direction again.
And then the next one, this one turned out so cool. The colors.
Yeah, and this is based on one of my collections, the Generations.
Your original. Those are on Foundation, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're on Foundation. They sold out immediately after Turbo launched, so that was great. But this was one of my first AI-based collections. It was sort of a lot of manual digital drawing and AI combined together. So it's cool to keep evolving. This is now a derivative AI of this AI, and that was the whole sort of. I'm not revealing anything of what I'm releasing next year, but that was the whole sort of point of the Generations, that they are the foundational generation of AI characters, and then we could take them just like generations of humans. They evolve and they procreate and create new ones that are based on the training of the previous ones. So that's the initial idea I had with you.
Yeah, there's so many new things that are coming out so quickly, and you having the skills and ability to just take advantage of that and keep running with it. It makes me so excited to see the next things that you put out, and how you can harness all of this insanely fast technology that's happening right now. But love this one.
Okay, I can't keep up. I can't keep up with the progress either. I do my best, but
I thought this one turned out really well. This is this MetaMic. This one looks totally like a CyberBroker and just turned out super. It's so clean.
Yeah, and we'll get into making some, and you'll see some of the issues or errors or creative choices you need to make. But this one I remember because, like I said, I had a tight training model of maybe 4 or 5 in this model. It kept wanting to make this guy whiter than I thought he was, like just lighter skinned or whatever, and it gave him blue eyes. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't have blue eyes. And so I had to just nudge it towards like, brown eyes, just a few little things.
Yeah, no, it turned out really, really, really cool. Oh, I like this one as well. Like the colors are really popping through in the crown. Did you have to do a lot of work for it to get the crown?
Just prompted crown. Yeah, gold crown, because very sort of cool, defined artwork, lots going on, lots to interpret. You can't really tell sort of, what's a grid pattern in the background to what's part of the crown. So it helped that I could nudge it and say, there's a gold crown in there, all that information.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. All right, let's see the next one. Oh, it's nice. A based AF as a full sort of, I can tell that one of the ones you used to prompt was a mechanic, because I see those similar pants pop up often. But this one looks cool. Okay, let's see the next one. Oh, that's nice. Just a portrait translation.
Yeah, this is it's the
This is really funny.
Somebody put in the turbo toad.
That's hilarious. I could see this guy going by the nickname Toad. I could totally see it.
Yeah, his mask sort of looks like it's a toadish type of mask.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, there we have a fluff bunny.
Yep, there's the fluff gang.
Meets camera, maybe. Oh, Moonbird. I love how it just puts a face in there behind the big eyes. That's hilarious.
I find these tricky, because it's trying to make a face.
Right.
Like, how do you make a face out of this weird pixelated thing? That's why the CryptoPunks, I find them difficult as well. Because there's not a lot to go on.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think we have some punks coming up in the live one that haven't been done yet, so we'll see how that turns out. Oh, these are funny too. Got the headband and the hair pretty spot on.
And also ones I find don't work so much, ironically, are the CyberBroker ones, because they're already defined and look good. So I'm sort of reverting them back to the training, which is more generic. So rather than sort of transforming it into something new, it sort of derives it back to something a bit worse than it originally was. I'm like, oh, that's okay.
The next one is kind of hard because it had like the Genesis mask on. So like, of course, it's just going to make it have like the white hair and sort of
I preempted. I thought something was coming up. This one's, I think the first one's better than the other one, but
But they both do look like CyberBrokers. Well, obviously the one on the left is, but is that the end of this one, or do we have a couple more? And okay, cool. Let's do some live. Let's do some live.
Do it.
I think we've dropped a couple in the Discord that came up that haven't been done yet. And then I think we're getting some live from the audience too that will keep dropping through. So just pick whichever. The order doesn't matter.
Cool.
You pull that up. Oh, the painting behind me. This is from my friend Dave. Can you guys even see it? Where he takes old thrift store paintings and paints on top of them. Interesting, weird cultural things. So that is a fun painting from him. I'm like in a closet right now, so I probably have terrible echo. It's literally like, this is a closet, so a tiny closet. And then the other question is, what camera are you using, Rhett? Because your quality is so good.
Oh, cool. It's messy behind me. I've been moving around stuff, so my setup's not great, but I'm using Sony Alpha DSLR camera.
Nice.
Not just a webcam. It's
we need
a decent camera.
A affiliate link for you to get your kickback.
Yeah. Cool. So I think my screen's up.
Yep.
This was one of the ones. Let me see. Just drag it in again. I'll just show a couple of the parameters. Like I said, width, height, really small, 512, 512. Got this. I won't explain what all of these are, but this CFG scale I've got set to 7. And so this denoising strength, I will explain that one. A little bit at stable diffusion. It starts with like noise, just diffuse noise, and then builds its way back up to generate an image. So this denoising strength, if I set it to 0 and I click generate, it's going to be exactly the same, because I'm saying it goes from 0 to 1. So if I set it to 0, it's saying don't look at the prompt at all. And if I set it to 1, I'm saying look at the prompt only. So if I prompt that, it's only looking at here, portrait style of CyberBrokers, and it's not taking this into account. So if I put it at halfway, it's taking into account this image here, and then denoising like 50%. And then it can go from noise into the prompt 50% from there again. And if I click generate from there, then it gives us something like that. And that's how quick it is. Because I'm using the trained model, I've got my prompt in there, 50% of this, and then I think the eyes could be a little bit better. I click in paint, and then I'll just delete that from before, and then I'll just go over the eyes, and once again click generate, and it will update those eyes. Maybe I don't like them so cyberish. I've got some blue eyes.
Could you? Would it be possible to, maybe not with this or with a different one, if you were wanted to in paint something that wasn't there? So instead of like correcting eyes, like you could in paint like heart eyes or something. You know what I mean? Like could you prompt something new in those areas?
Let's try it. That's a great thing about this. It's just a lot of experimentation. So it's picked up the color of it in heart-shaped eyes. But if I actually, like I said, if I turn it to 1 and ignore what's there, maybe a little bit less, you might pick up the idea of the heart. It's gone anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's experimentation from that point. Yeah, so it's trying to do sort of facets of a heart in there, it looks like, rather than an actual eye shape. Cool, and that's it. And then I can just, if I click this one, I'm sending it to the extras tab. And in the extras tab, maybe I don't want that one. Let me.
Oh yeah, sorry, I messed up.
No, it's all good. I wasn't keeping track.
I need to stop asking questions anyway, so we can do more live. So I'll zip it for a second.
Yeah, we should get through some. Let me do this actually on another one. So that would be it pretty much. I could say that was done. This is another generation. Let me grab another one. The sort of different, the more different, the better, because we can see how the different generations and all my settings are the same. Generate.
It's crazy how fast it is.
So maybe I want to, it's already picking up the idea of the, the gold part up there. It's this, but maybe I want to make sure there's a crown. So just that prompt will nudge it towards, an actual crown. And then maybe I want to emphasize long white beard. So just little things that I know will nudge it towards it, and maybe a little bit Santa-ish looking, and maybe maybe by doing that now I'm like, I sort of liked where it was going before, a bit more cyberbroker-ish, a bit more futuristic. Yeah, and then I can just
You're cool.
yeah, keep going. And then once again, I probably do the eyes. But for the sake of that, then we go, that's done.
That's awesome. Ice King.
Yeah. So let me grab another one and we can play around. Just delete the crown. Oh, and in this down here is like, you got your positive prompt area and your negative prompt area.
Yep.
So I don't want it to be ugly.
I love that.
So I'm making sure that that won't happen.
Prompts stuff. Oh, this is a crazy cool one.
And that's going a bit weird because it's not understanding what an eye is, where an eye is, what these are. So you can see it got confused really quickly. It couldn't pick up on much. But if I say, just say of cat, it might, oh, yeah, there you go. It's
that's already crazy.
That needed to pick up a little bit. So I'm not going to go too crazy. But when I was doing it live on Twitter, yeah, and so I might call that it. And then I come across to the extras tab, I click generate, and actually I should have chosen, this is what I, Swin R4X upscaler. That's what I prefer, and it's just an upscaler to make it 4 times bigger because 512 by 512 is pretty small. But on Twitter, I wouldn't even maybe come across to this. It's not the greatest quality. I could probably do a bit better if I spend a little bit more time on it. But yeah, and that would be enough. Like I literally just click it on Twitter, drag it across, click generate, and sometimes the first one would be good enough. And then I drag that back into Twitter. So it would literally take 10 seconds. So let me see if I can do
just
that.
A machine, basically.
Well, let me see if there's another one. Okay, I don't want to, because this is one of yours. I don't like,
Oh, there's plenty of other ones to choose from.
But I don't like glazing over. I was going to do a really quick one, but I just chose yours. So, yeah, so that's, it's a light colored CyberBroker, and then the face is all messed up. So if I focus just on the face and regenerate that, yeah, and then if I wanted to, I've got cat. I've got cat in the prompt, so it's trying to give it cat eyes. But if I say mask, female, yeah, let's put, yeah, gives me a female masked person. This one, the dimensions are a bit different. Let me guess, maybe 640 or 720 in height. I'll take away the mask, but I'll leave female. Hopefully this is safe for work. We'll say, okay, not bad.
Oh, that looks awesome. That one's
And I fix the eyes. Much better eyes already. And that would be it. I'm done. And that's how quick it can be. And you can see, just the resemblance is there. I've put them side by side. It works. Has a bit of the personality of the original, but definitely the personality of CyberBrokers.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually that it got the pose so similar to the original.
Yeah, that's the beauty of, there's lots of other tricks.
That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, that's usable. Like I could.
Yeah, totally. No, I love that.
This is where it's not sure, but it's trying to work out where eyes are and things, and then puts 2 people in. Yeah, and that's that one. I'd say that's good to go. Let me see. Here's another pixelated one. Let's see what it does with a punk. Yeah.
Amazing. Love that it kept the outline.
A bit weird with the. So here's where I might get it a bit more towards the prompt and away from the harsh edges.
That's so
because
funny.
I know it'll still, there you go. So it's still got some of those edges. I might turn it up a little bit more. So now we're starting to lose the original.
I kind of think that the first ones were hilarious and that they like, because it is just so funny because it's punk is so simple.
Okay. So yeah, let's go back to halfway. Yeah, but it's obviously, it's doing its best.
Yeah, no. Even it's like trying to do the perspective of like the face too.
Yeah, and that's where I just play around with these settings a little bit and go, let maybe.
Not a big pixel on the forehead. Looks like a punk to me.
Yeah. It's the Vogue cover.
Yeah.
Cyber Vogue. Let me see. Let me try another difficult one. Probably one like this is not much to go on. You can't even really tell it's a face.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
That worked pretty well.
Oh.
What else have we got? Let's try. Looks like a Macbeth.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Got her in the window and everything.
Yeah, it's doing well there. It's not great with text. Obviously, it's just like it understands what text is. It's like I'll just put some letters up here. But yeah, it's not actually interpreting stuff for itself. It's just using its learning, going from noise into something. So it's like, if I'm starting from this and I've got some noise, it's going to end up being something like that, which, we see as text, but it's just shapes to the.
Yeah. No, those are cool.
So I can put like sepia tone, black and white, and see if it forces it a bit more away from the color. There you go.
Oh, cool.
And that's where I'll just make simple, choices to add the prompt in, which I think makes sense to whatever I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I'd fix the eyes, and then be done as well. So
yeah,
it takes seconds sometimes. Let's try this one, another one that someone submitted. I'll take away all those things. I won't tell it what it is or anything yet. And maybe I say yellow skin, and I'll make that a visor. That would be more CyberBroker-ish. Sort of got yellow skin. It's got yellow neck stuff. Yeah, and then I'd call that. It's obviously looking at the forehead, thinking that's a hat or a cap, and it thinks the middle part is where the face is.
No, it's pretty cool though.
It's not too far off.
These are so cool to watch live. I'm loving this.
Yeah, and I would churn through these. Like when the Twitter was on, I would like just drag over, generate. So that's off the bat. That's pretty cool. It's picked up the fashion.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'd be like, okay, done, next, done, next, done, next. Let's see.
Okay, so was there one? Oh, this will be cool. Was there a couple that you spent like way too long on and you shouldn't have?
Not that I shouldn't have, but it's.
I mean, like, were you pretty disciplined with like whipping through them, or did you like spend a long time on some of them?
Look, when I say long time, it's like 5 minutes. So it wasn't crazy, but if I think when you submitted something or someone else, I'm like, okay, let me spend a little bit more time and not make sure there's nothing dodgy happening with it. Yeah, but generally, like this was unexpected, this look here, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And this is when I sort of, when I'm doing my own work, I like this part of it as well, because I like the unexpected in my work. I like having control, but I also like the unexpected. And I've always had that in my work, because it takes you down paths that you didn't know. And it sort of reminds me as well, like this process is a lot of discovery. And I think this is why photographers maybe understand AI a little bit more than some traditional artists, because you don't know. Let me sort of put this back to 512. You sort of have an idea, like you might walk out to your mountain ranges or whatever, have an idea of the kind of photo you want, but you're really in discovery mode. You're out there, you're like, okay, what can I see? What can I capture? What's around? And that's sort of what's happening here. You got some ideas, you got your parameters. You don't exactly know what you're going to find and what you're going to see, especially when you put in random images like I'm doing now. You've got an idea, but it might take you into a path or a direction which you didn't intend, but you can recognize that that's a cool direction. That's, that's something that's interesting happening here. Let me just grab some more.
Mike asked, what was the number of training samples? Only 4 for this one, right? You said 4?
Yeah, I think it was just 4 or 5 for the one that I'm using right now. So that's a nice interpretation.
Yeah, that is cool. Mike, also, Rhett did your profile picture. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter yet. Any additional tips on sample variability / composition? I don't know.
Sorry, what was that?
Mike was wondering if you have any. And earlier they were asking if you used Allura is this Allura trained? And then someone responded that it was Dream Booth. And then they asked if you have any additional tips on sample variability / composition.
Okay, yeah. So we mentioned before, I use Laura's now, but this was with Dream Booth. I'm using the original model I used back in April. So I haven't even updated it or retrained it. I thought it was good enough. And about samples, so I've got the sample steps to 30, if this is what they were talking about. You can pump it up. So 20 is what I trained it on. It's like the base. Let's see what that gives us. Still pretty good. But as you pump up the samples, it doesn't retrain. It does more iterations on top of itself. So let me just go crazy, maybe more than double, 80. So I'm thinking it will have more definition in some of those. Yeah, so you can't, because of this style, you can't really see that much of a difference between 80 and I had a 30, didn't I? But it just sort of spends longer. It takes a lot longer as well. Put 120. It just redefines over and over again. The quality doesn't always get better. It's sort of just more defined. So sometimes it's a choice of where I usually keep it around 30 to 50 for final things. But the style we're working with here, this faceted, blocky type of look, it's more than adequate, I think. Yep. Let me see. I see a Pepe in the feed. Let me see what it does with that. Actually, yes, but I see that I've got yellow skin visor still in here, so I might want to get rid of that.
It's funny that
it's not picking up. Okay, it doesn't.
Wrong.
Okay, so once I said head or big head, like it's picking up the head a little bit more. And then maybe in this one, so that's pretty cool. I might take that like a Hulk type of image, and I'd call that something I would move forward with. But in this instance, let's try dropping it down so it's a little bit more like the original, and see what monstrosity we can come up with.
Nice.
Yeah, so you get something a little bit more characterized then, and then I could refine that, making the eyes a bit clearer. And
that would be a bit hard to refine, but yes, I think so. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So in this, I was mentioning before, put this setting back. So I think this will get a bit more generic and not as interesting as the original. Yeah, I think so. There was a white-headed guy in one of the
Yeah.
trainings, so it's defaults back to this guy. So yeah, it's not, you're not really getting anything new. It's just like a slight variation. Yeah. What else have I got?
There was a Joker one that just came through. Are there ones that you guys haven't seen come through yet live or on the thread? Tell us.
Check. I'm sure there's more in the Twitter thread as well. I could check back at the Twitter thread, but there's a few more, but I'm getting through a lot.
I know, it's cool seeing these live. It's crazy how fast it is.
That's cool. But yeah, that's how quick, like, yeah, that's how quick it is. I'm just looking through the
How long did it take you to do the training for, and sorry if you said this before and I missed it, but how long does it take you to do the training at the one that you did for April, the model that you did for April?
So from memory, I want to say a few hours.
Okay.
The initial training, and then I did it again, a few hours again with Dream Booth. But it's similar. I do LoRa training now, and that's a similar time frame. It all depends on how many images and how many iterations you want it to train. But with the LoRa training, you actually just trying to take a screen grab. With the LoRa training, you give it, it's the same sort of thing as Dream Booth. You give it, sorry, I'm just trying to save, someone put a GIF in the sorry, I said GIF. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna change the GIF. And you can't drop those into Stable Diffusion. So I was just taking a screen grab. I was just taking a screen grab of it so I can then use it. But the LoRa training, yeah, same, a few hours, but I did one that had like 20 to 30 images in it the other day, and with a lot of samples trying, and it took like a whole day. It took like 24 hours. It was okay with me because I wasn't doing anything. I was trying to specifically do that. So I just let it train. But that, yeah, it can get pretty long. And what happens then is like it does lots of iterations. So it does lots of different models. And then you just pick which one you think is working the best. So some might be overtrained, like it happens, you can train too much. Some are undertrained, and you just like Goldilocks pick the best one in the middle and go, okay, I like this style. This is sort of, it's understanding what I want it to. And then you go with that model and you delete the rest, because each one is like a gig and it does like 20 different models sometimes. You don't want all that. And it can get pretty up there. Each model is going to be over a gig at least.
Yeah. Actually, people were wondering if you could share what GPU you're using, because they're surprised about how fast the renders are.
Yeah, I've got two 3090 GPUs in my machine, but I'm pretty sure it's only using the one, and it's not using two at a time for this. So it's just using the one GPU, 3090.
And if somebody had a way bigger sample size, that would obviously, it would take a lot longer to get some of these prompts back, right?
Yeah, but like I said, this sampling steps is pretty much it. Like if I go back to text to image, the sampling steps is mainly what takes the time. And if you keep it to like 20 is totally acceptable for most generations. But even if you go up to 80, it will take longer, but it's not taking that much longer. We're talking seconds longer. So even if you had a 1080 GPU. You do need to have a NVIDIA GPU though.
Yeah.
That's the caveat for this, what I'm using here, this setup, Stable Diffusion. And I'm running all this locally on my PC. So it's not connected to the internet at all. Apart from like the Stable Diffusion isn't. I am to get the images off the internet. Yeah, so you can do this not connected to the internet with just a PC. I think the model itself is 2 to 4 gigabytes. And then, yeah, you can start with the default model, or then you can make your own models. And that's where it starts to go up, because you want to experiment with all these different types of models that people have done. Like you can use other, models that other people have done. If I was to make this public, which I don't think I will, but you could download this model and use it yourself, just exactly like I'm using it on your machine if you install Stable Diffusion. So yeah, it's that simple. And to train, it's fine. You don't have this tab on live, but I use something called Koya, it's Kohya, and I use that to train LoRa's at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it's just like a standalone browser-based system that works pretty well.
Dropping all the good tips.
Yeah, I'm happy to drop everything for people to get ahead and get closer to it's not the greatest generation, but it's a bit messy. But that's what I said, like if it's sort of CyberBroker based like this is, I prefer the original. I'm not going to get better than the original because the training was
it's so interesting, because this one, like I'm thinking of the one that you did for the generation that you did for Cake one, which was like the girl with like the bikini and the cool pose. Like this girl has, almost a similar pose, but it looks so different because it was taken from like a 3D image versus like the already vectorized looking image. So I can read it.
The transformation is what is impressive.
Yeah.
So if we start with like something that's already in the style and transformed, it's not getting better. It's only going to get worse pretty much. So that's the only time so far I found with this model it's not the best. And I'm doing one by one because I'm just, I think that's.
I love that outfit actually. It's very.
Like that one could be, a goer, and then I could just fix up the bits, the eyes that I don't like, and then we could have a nice finished image. Yeah, potentially better.
That's awesome.
And then, take that and upscale it. But yeah, the transformation is what. Upscaling takes a while. The transformation is what is impressive. So, yeah, seeing something you haven't seen before. Then we have
that one's super cool. Yeah, no, we'll have to definitely share that one. There's another question that came in, and if anybody has any last second questions, definitely ask them now. MetaMike said, "What other things are you wanting to try for visual creations outside of Dream Booth and LoRa's?"
To tell you right now, I'm like I was all in on crypto art. I feel like I'm all in on AI at the moment, and that might be what I do all next year. I've had traditionally in the last 5 years, 6 years, I've been heavy 3D. So a lot of I've been using Cinema 4D, a bit of Blender, lots of rendering engines. I've been heavy into that world. But to be honest with you, the renewal subscriptions are coming up, and I'm like, I don't know whether I will renew. I don't know. I haven't used them in the last 3 months. Maybe to do like little bits and pieces if I'm, some legacy works that I have floating around that need some things. But yeah, well, I did it's not come out. I think it's maybe being built, but a mural in a new building in South Korea of my landscape trees, which should be cool. I'm looking forward to
Cool.
seeing photos of this. This big, not installation. It's just on the walls of the entrance foyer of this new building, but it's all all the walls. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. So I had to re-render some of those model files I had from a couple of years ago from the inspiration for those types of scenes. But apart from that, everything I'm experimenting with recently is AI. And it has its limitations for sure when it comes to detail and control. But that's the medium at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to just see it for what it is
Yep.
and use it and understand what it is, rather than sort of sticking to my stubborn ways and my guns. And like, I like experimenting and seeing where things go for the future. And it is hard to let go of old stuff sometimes when you've spent so long. I remember when I spent weeks trying to get my head around polygons and how it worked and like how these rendering things make sense. And I got lots of tutorials on my YouTube taking people through, because I remember how difficult it can be to get your head around how to do 3D stuff. I spent years trying to work it out and perfecting it. And now to just drop it is hard. But it's like, well, sometimes you have to move. You have to release things or knock them down or whatever to make way for new things. And that's really difficult sometimes. And I understand.
I agree. I think most creators understand that issue with themselves and personally grapple with it. Like, I mean, even like I have physical paintings that I haven't touched in literally years, and I don't know if I will touch them again, even though at the moment when I was working on them, I've spent so much time on them, and didn't finish them. So yeah, no, I think but it's exciting that AI is exciting you so much that it's consuming everything that you're doing every day and that you're taking advantage of it, especially because things are coming out so quickly. By the way, Cake asked if we can save this one down, because she's obsessed with it. So I think we'll post it on Twitter for you in a reply if you don't mind saving that one, Rhett. But yeah, no, it's exciting to see artists take hold of AI and get excited about it and really put their spin and their take and their approach and see them become really successful with it, because obviously we know that AI is super controversial with a lot of creators. So I'm excited to see you just like take it by the horns and like run with it. I think it's really inspiring for a lot of creatives.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important for me to do that. Whereas, like, because I feel for a lot of traditional artists, there is a lot of hate from floating around from some traditional artists, and like, I never sort of clap back because I understand the feeling of losing something that you spend so long developing and working at. But sometimes you need to do that in order to grow.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part. I often say, like, if I stayed a guru at the first thing I was like really good at, I would still be a CD-ROM designer today. I would still be like this old cranky guy, like why does no one care about CD-ROMs? I got really good at it. I was really great. I was one of the best at doing it. I was like, because times change, things move on. There's better technology. People value things differently as time moves on, and that gets us back to the idea of digital value.
Yeah.
And where I believe, I think digital things have value, and I try and promote that in different forms. So right now, people don't see the value. Well, a lot of people don't see the value in AI art, or they have the first understanding of it is you write something and then something just pops out of thin air. That's their basic understanding that they've just stuck with now. And even though we're like a year down the track and a lot of things have changed, they're not interested to leave behind the years of studying anatomy and drawing and the I know it takes it's hard, but when I see people sort of jump out of their comfort zone into something and actually spend the time to learn what is there, like those people are the ones that can offer the most value, because they've had to change. They've had to sort of grow and come out of an old perspective into a new one. And then they bring with them that plethora of information and value. That's why a lot of the when we saw a lot of traditional artists enter NFTs, I was so happy. I'm like, oh, they're experimenting in something they're not sure about. They're reaching a whole new audience. People are seeing their work that would never have seen it before. And I think, yeah, the benefits far outweigh the negatives going forward, looking in the future to all this type of stuff. So that's why I stay excited.
Yeah, no, I love that. That was a perfect way to close anyway, since I know we ran a little bit over. So thank you for being so gracious and giving us so much of your time, Rhett. I loved seeing all of these outputs live, and we'll post the rest on Twitter if we haven't yet already. Thank you guys for being like live in the chat and commenting back and forth. Everyone is super excited about seeing all of this happen. Rhett, can you tell us if there's anything we can look out for, or what to follow, how to best, obviously on Twitter, but how to best follow all the things that you do have coming up that are currently under wraps, so we can learn about them.
Yeah, of course. Follow my Twitter. It's just my name, Rhett, RHETT. I should give a shout out to the Turbo Toad people. Following Turbo project and the cryptocurrency. That's 6-month-old. We celebrated our birthday just last week, and
happy birthday.
It's going, yeah. It's not as hyped as the first month or week it came out, of course, but we still have a dedicated core group of people who are really interested in pushing it forward, and there's lots of interesting things happening with that going forward as well. But yeah, I'm not the type to try and pump or shield any type of stuff there, but it's just, yeah, such a very interesting project that's still going. It's totally decentralized, so it's beyond me and my control, but I still find it interesting, so I'm still experimenting with it. But yeah, any art stuff is just on my socials pretty much, and I just, I'm happy to do this full time and speak to people like you who also are invested so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it always brings me joy to see your posts, Rhett, and to see the outputs and everything that you're doing. So I'm super thankful for your time, and I'm sure everyone here is as well. If you guys have any extra questions, feel free and drop them in the Discord that we didn't cover, and we'll be happy to follow up with you guys. But thank you, everyone, for your time. And Rhett, thank you so much. And we'll see everyone on the next one, whenever that will be. Thanks, guys. Bye.